Not yet. Because my voice is going in and out. I had a drink real quick. Just have to swallow.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, that give me a few seconds.
Yes, it does.
That was not an earthquake, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Wow, for real? It's expensive.
You ain't leave it outside, just.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Alright, so. Get your food out the way.
It's still picking that up. Oh, your shot? Okay.
Alright. We'll count you in.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Robert Young and Onika Terrell on It Needs to Be Heard. And now that you've heard it, what would you do? As you can see, Miss Onika Terrell is currently in New York, and she will be calling in shortly. Just to let you know while it's on my mind, that you can call into the show to ask questions and or concerns at 240-455-5934. That's 240-455-5934. And today we have an awesome guest, Mr. Leroy Mckenzie, whom I met last year at a fulfillment conference at Pastor Marquise and co-pastor Lisa Neal church, and I am truly elated to have this young man here. He is the CEO and owner of Jesus Never Fails, basically JNF Never Fails, and we will get into that shortly. But we're just happy to be here today with our second season, and when Onika calls in, we'll be able to hear her. As always, please share our page and at It Needs to Be Heard Facebook, and we are currently on eLife Media Group Facebook, but we're also on YouTube Live under It Needs to Be Heard. Today's show is entitled The Power of a Man, a grown man versus a grown male. A grown man versus a grown male. And this show is not necessarily to bash anyone or tell you anything. We just want to, Mr. Mckenzie, to show some of the insight and wisdom that he has on that particular topic, and also in reference to his book. So just shortly, just refreshing from last week, our guest from South America, and whereas his ministry was geared towards AIDS and HIV to the community and the church, and how the church of God should be proactive in regards to issues such as that, and how not just waiting for things to happen, but also creating programs for individuals with AIDS or HIV, and not to shun them, but to also to minister to them. One of the quick topics was about should churches give condoms? And my response was, the Messiah, he ministered to the prostitutes, the drunkards, and everything. We have to necessarily meet people where they are. And my answer would be yes, because even though we don't promote premarital sex, we don't want them to catch an STD or unwanted pregnancy, which make things even more harder on their life, which many adults can attest to today. Also, we want to thank Dr. Baruch of Everlasting Life Restaurant for this opportunity to have our show. And if you're interested in having your own show here, feel free to contact Everlasting Life. All right, let me see the phone number. I had it here somewhere. Yes. Got it. I don't see it, but I'll bring it up. But yeah, there it is. Have things moved around a little bit. The phone number here is 301-324-6900. That's 301-324-6900. I'm going to breeze right through the announcements. The first announcement is the birthday of my nephew, Mr. Demetrius Person. He will be the big 2-1. Demetrius Person. That's with no S, singular. He's an amazing young man. I'm really happy for him and his life moving forward. He knows that when we have our talks, we don't sugarcoat anything. We're really happy for him for his 21st birthday. I apologize, Demetrius, we didn't get to go to Brooklyn. like we had planned that last year, but we know that right now we're making some decisions regarding your career. But Demetrius, I want you to know that I love you deeply. You already know that, but I want the world to know that I love you deeply, and your family, and your mother Sharon, and all your brothers, Derek. Oh, please forgive me. You got DeAndre and another brother. Please forgive me. But I just want to say happy birthday to you and to the Person family. Just quickly, we have the Peacock House, which is a business network of business owners and which help current businesses and startup businesses with their business ideas, with commercials, headshots, web awareness and presence, and also we cater to children as well, because we know children have show ideas and inventions, so we don't just limit ourselves to just adults who have businesses or business ideas, but also to children. There are many invention things that we use today that were invented by children, and that means you. All right, kids out there. As you know, I also hold my Zumba class there as well on Monday nights. We have 7 more weeks left. But if you have any questions concerning the Peacock House, you can call Dr. Chichi at 240-413-9481. That's 240-413-9481. Breezing right through these. All right. Yes. Because we want to use this opportunity to allow this awesome man of God, entrepreneur, to share some of the things that what he's up to, and also what I picked up from him, and all is well. Once again, you can call in at 240-455-5934 if you have any questions and or concerns. Awesome. So right now, Mr. Mckenzie, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm absolutely wonderful. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, sir. I got to let you guys know, this is a trademark smile right here. This guy's always smiling and always laughing, as you just had a sample. But I'm really happy that you were here. When I first met you at Pastor Neil and co-pastor Neil's church, I said, I have to have this young man on the show. We will have you back at a later time in regards to that, about the things that you shared with us regarding how to have a better life, a more organized life.
Absolutely.
But today we want to focus on your book, The Power of the Man. And what's the subtitle there?
It is Faith, Family, Finance, and Future.
And Future. Awesome. So before we jump into the questions, I'm going to go through his bio to let you know some of the things. As his bio comes up, I know that he is how you pronounce it? Baltimorean.
Yes.
Absolutely. He's a product of the Baltimore public and private school system. He has a Bachelor's of Science in Hotel Restaurant Management from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. He is a proud member of the New Psalmist Baptist Church, where he serves on several ministries. He is the president and CEO of JNF, which means Jesus Never Fail Enterprises, which is a distribution, publishing, and business consulting firm located in Baltimore, Maryland. He is also a contributing writer for the Real Life, Real Faith Men of Faith magazine, Entrepreneurs of Color, and his Favor magazines. Many of you who have been following us knows, Mr. Mckenzie, that we have been letting people know about your distribution, publishing, and business consulting firm on a regular basis. Mr. Mckenzie has also written 2 books of poetry, which has been featured on Heaven 600's Poetry Cafe, a business finance book. The customer is not always right. I know that's right. I agree with that. A common sense guide to establishing a strong and flourishing business. A book on entrepreneurship, Young and Gifted, the new generation of entrepreneurship. I love it. And a book on leadership, The Art of Leadership, Success Strategies for the 21st Century Leader. He has performed his poetry. Oh, you know how to spit, right?
I wasn't going to say that, but I have performed, though.
And spoken at churches on various other venues throughout the country. JNF Enterprises was started in 2004 with the publishing of Mr. Mckenzie's debut books of poetry, The Inner Soul, Volumes 1 and 2, and the launching of the Christian apparel of Try 3 Jesus. Believing in the vision of God placed in him, Leroy set out to put the distribution, publishing, and business consulting industries on notice that there are about to be a new way of doing business. I really like that when I was reading your bio earlier. Following and the pursue bringing visions to reality. JNF seeks to enlighten, empower, and impact the communities that it will touch. We seek to provide emerging authors with an independent avenue to mainstream exposure. That is so crucial. And touch individuals, businesses, and churches with our Christian-based products and entrepreneurship. By being a Christian-based company, we will add a spiritual foundation to our business that will add instant credibility, integrity, that's my favorite word, and a general sense of courtesy to the distribution, publishing, business, consulting industries. In this day and time, I hear my help coming, business have missed the mark, I hear the organ in the background, in providing exceptional products and services. And JNF, hallelujah, is poised to bring back the basics of business. Yes, I enjoyed reading that. I've read it earlier today, and I was like, man, this is powerful. But I'm so glad to have you here. And as you know, we're here today to focus not on what I picked up from you from the fulfillment conference, but to focus on your book. Tell us about that.
Well, this particular book, The Power of a Man, Faith, Family, Finance, and Future, it came from my deep passion for seeing us as men, and more specifically black men,
yes,
understanding the power that we have as men and being able to walk in that power,
yes,
in our faith, in our families, in our finances, in our future, and to also equip us. Yes. Because there's been a lot of men that I've talked to, that I've been around, that I know. A lot of us have been miseducated
yes,
in what manhood is.
Yes.
A lot of us have been, or just don't know,
yes,
or understand the true meaning of what manhood is. So I wanted to do that specifically for men, because there's so many, and I'll say this, and the ladies might get a little upset, but there's plenty of books out here. There's plenty of conferences and all of those things out here for women that equip women, that empower women,
yes,
that build them up. But there's not too many events or even books that you have that specifically are geared for men,
yes,
to equip men, to build up men, and to pour into men. And that's
yes,
the big thing for me, is pouring into us as men, because we need pouring into. And so that's where this book actually came from, was
awesome.
I wanted to be able to pour into men, so that we can walk in our power as well. I love women, want them to understand their power and everything too.
Yes.
But I wanted men, hey, this is something that the men need to understand, to be able to pour into, and even for women to understand men and why we are the way that we are. So
yes,
that's where that came from.
That is perfect. You was all in our conversation last week and leading up to this season, because it's important that we must understand life is about mentorship. Life is about the process of circle of life. But as women want us to learn them, the desire they must learn men as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, there are some things for them to learn. Just briefly with your bio, I had a few other questions.
Sure.
About the hotel restaurant management business. How old were you, or when did you decide to go into that field?
Actually, it happened after my freshman year in college. My freshman year, went in. I had gone to school wanting to be a doctor.
Oh, okay.
That was my thing. I was going to be a doctor. That was what I wanted out of life. And I didn't even thought. I just knew I wanted to be a doctor at the time. I didn't know specifically what kind of doctor and everything like that at the time. Yes. But got into school and found out being a doctor wasn't as easy as I thought it would be.
Yes, sir.
So wound up not doing as well as I wanted to.
Yes.
In the classes, wound up, saying, you know what, I don't know if I have what it took to become a doctor, because I was putting in the work, doing the time, but I wasn't getting the results that I wanted for myself specifically.
Makes sense.
And having a high standard for myself. And so I was just like, you know what? I was like, let me, kind of see what else I might be able to kind of do. And had some friends who were already in the HRM, which is Hotel Restaurant Management major at my school at the University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. and talk with them, and because I'd seen a couple of events and things that they had done. I was like, man, this major kind of got it going on a little bit, things that they're going. So I made an appointment to talk to the dean
Yes.
of the department and fell in love with it.
Awesome.
I was like, wow. I'm like, and at that particular time, which was the late 80s going into the early 90s when I was in college, the hospitality industry was booming.
Yes, it was.
It was really starting to take off. So, I'm thinking of my future, thinking, wow, this is, something where I wanted to kind of be. I could build a career. I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, but, saying, hey, I could build something from this. Changed my major, went into it full force and loved it. Made some great friends, gained some just great knowledge.
Yes.
And I always say this, I'll give credit to my school, our department, our hotel restaurant management department, not only prepared us for the hospitality industry, but business itself.
Yes.
And that's what I loved about it, because our dean, that was his focus. He wanted to make sure that when we came out of school, we came out prepared, not just for the industry, but we were prepared for business.
Yes.
We were to do business, even if we didn't stay in hospitality industry, which I wound up not doing, and many of us that were in school at that time aren't in the hospitality industry.
Yes.
So that's where that came from. And I worked in the industry for a good 10, 15 years, and honestly got burned out with it.
Wow.
And I was just like, I was doing, at the time, I was just like, I can't be killing myself for somebody else. And, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to do it for myself.
Absolutely.
So, that's kind of where that the hospitality came from. And then it gave me the background for everything that I do now.
Yes.
The foundation of my business, running the business, understanding industries, understanding trends, all of those things, and being able to run a business. I always talk about the one thing that if you talk to most of us that were in that major, Aldine had this thing about the bell curve. You know how you have the bell curve, and he always taught us about being in front of the bell curve.
Yes.
Always being in front of your industry, no matter what it was. Making sure that you think in 5 years, 10 years. That way you're always ahead of the industry, or you're ahead of everyone else that may be, that's in that particular industry and like that. So.
And that's business as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. We thank you for joining It Needs to Be Heard with Mr. Robert Eugene Young and Miss Onika Terrell in her absence. I hope she calls in soon. Now that you've heard it, what would you do? Now, we have our guest, Mr. Leroy Mckenzie. And Mr. Mckenzie, you sent me a PowerPoint presentation. And how would you like to move forward through that today?
Well, let's just, what we'll do is we'll just have a conversation.
Got it.
And like we said, we'll talk about the power of a man.
Okay.
And we want to focus in it specifically, like we said, grown man versus grown male.
Sure.
And the difference in that.
Yes.
What's the difference between a grown man and a grown male? Do people even understand what that difference is?
Yes.
And what we can do, what we need to do in order to be able to equip ourselves as men.
Yes.
To be able to prepare ourselves for manhood, and to be able to prepare not just us, but the next generation.
Yes.
That generation behind us. Because they need us. I tell men wherever I go and I speak, and when we're talking about manhood, is that generation behind us needs us.
Yes.
And it's our responsibility to pour into them,
That's
just
true.
as somebody else poured, just as someone poured into us.
That's true.
Or should have been poured into us. And some of us didn't have that male figure, that man, to be able to pour into us, or if we did, it might have been the wrong way,
right?
In the negative aspect and everything like that. But that's my main, the main thing is being able to get us to understand that, and what does that mean? And you have to start off. I usually start off with just defining manhood.
Yes.
What is manhood? Because you could probably ask 10 different guys, what is manhood to them, and you'll get 10 different answers.
That's true.
About what manhood is, but we have to understand the foundation of it. What does it mean? Defining manhood. Manhood is a maturity level that you have with understanding who you are,
Yes.
and where you're going,
Mhm.
the direction that you're going in, and actually having an accountability for your life, and then those who who may be around you, or even if you're a father, having that life that you have a responsibility for, taking
Yes.
care of that responsibility. That's manhood.
Mm-hmm.
Part of manhood.
Yes.
It encompasses so much. Manhood can encompass so much. Having accountability, being responsible, being conducting yourself in a certain manner.
Yes.
Understanding and being able to treat people the
Mhm.
way you want to be treated. How to treat women.
Yes.
That's a big thing.
Yes.
That is a huge thing in understanding. And what are your responsibilities as a man?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? Are you supposed to be sitting home playing video games all day?
Mhm.
And even in our responsibility as men, when it comes to leaving our legacy,
Mm-hmm.
do you have a life insurance?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a will?
A will.
And
Mhm.
even beyond that, because I have a friend of mine. We were having a conversation last week, and she's an estate attorney.
Yes.
And we were talking about the difference between a will and a trust.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm thinking, will is good enough for
Mhm.
for us, but that's not even good enough, because a will can be contested.
Yeah. Wow.
Because you can have, let's say you have a will,
Mm-hmm.
you're married,
Mm-hmm.
but your let's say the kids may want to do, they're older or something like that, and they
Mhm.
may want to do one thing. Your wife may have wanted to do something else.
Yes.
And if you have a will, it can be contested.
Mm-hmm.
And even from what she was saying, even the states can come in and contest
Yes.
them.
Mm-hmm.
But with but if you have a trust,
Yes.
it can't be.
Wow.
It's solid.
Yes.
That means it is a particular thing that can't be nobody. It is what it is.
Yes.
And it has to be followed to the T with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about that, as just as a whole, but then as a men, because we're, you hear this thing that we're supposed to be the protectors,
Mhm.
the providers,
Yes.
and all of those things in the family. Well, how are you protecting your family if you don't have a will or a trust?
Mm-hmm.
If
Yes.
you don't have either one of those,
Mhm.
and something happens to you,
Correct.
and you leave it. I've been in that. I've been there.
Mhm.
So I know specifically that it becomes a thing where when you talk about money,
Yes.
and you talk about whether it might even be property,
Yes.
or something
Mhm.
like that,
Yes.
and folks start to get real, they can get real ugly when it comes to that.
Yes.
Trying to say, oh, I want this and I want that. You get families that get into all of that,
Absolutely.
arguments and everything else about that, about those things when it comes to will. So we have to understand as men that it is about having your affairs in order.
Yes.
Because none of us knows when or if something is going to happen
Yeah, you're right about
to
that.
us. So we have to be prepared. And also having that conversation.
Yes.
So many of us men, hey, if we're not sick, we ain't going to the doctors.
Yes. Mhm. Right.
We're not going to the doctors to make sure that we have our annual checkups,
Mhm.
that we're doing what we're supposed to do so that we can be here as long as we're supposed to be here.
Correct.
So it's about, those are the things that the power of a man talks about.
Awesome.
And even when it comes to our faith,
Yes.
and why a lot of us may not go to church.
Mm-hmm.
Or even those that may go, may only go, on Sunday.
Yes.
Or whatever day and everything like that. So why is it that we don't go?
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with that issue.
Yes.
And even in our, so that's one aspect that we talk about. But even in our families,
Yes.
what aspect or role as a man do you play in the family?
Yes.
And understanding that role.
Mm-hmm.
And having those conversations as as whether it's a father to a son, whether it's a son, understanding his role in the family, or even just the man in the family understanding his responsibilities, having the conversations with his wife.
Absolutely.
Saying, you two having that conversation about what does our family dynamic look like?
Yes.
What roles are you going to play? What role do I play? and then and how a decision's going to be made in the family. Having all of those conversations, because many of us as men don't want to have those conversations. We don't even sit down and have conversations with our kids.
Yes.
When it comes to, money, sitting down and have them understanding money. Like I said, I've been having these conversations the last couple of days specifically, just talking about something as simple as sitting down and having the conversation about money, about bank account, opening a bank account and everything like that, and so that our kids grow up being financially literate.
Correct.
Because a lot of us, growing up, didn't have those conversations with our parents.
That's right.
Our parents didn't have it with us. And part of it might have been them not knowing.
Correct.
And then as a consequence, us not necessarily knowing because we weren't taught and we had to learn. But now that we do know and we have learned and we have access to way more information than our parents, there's no excuse for it. You should be having those conversations with your kids. You should be having those money conversations with your wife.
Yes.
There's no reason why that you and your wife in the family should not know, the money that's coming in, the money that's going out, and how to be able to handle the finances of the family.
Correct.
No reason. I understand there may be one that specifically that handles the money.
Correct.
Because one may be better at the financing than the other, but the other should still know about the financial well-being of the household.
Yes.
But you have a lot of households that don't.
You touched on something where this understanding. Don't wait till your child become an adult to start having these conversations. They need to start. Some cultures start as early as 12 years old.
Absolutely.
And they need to understand how bills work. How the money comes in, how it goes out. The difference between the monthly bills versus like your budget